everyone, and welcome to another installment of the CEO Conversation Series. Our guest today is Janusz Janiszewski, Chief Executive Officer of PANSA, the Polish Air Navigation Services Agency. We're going to be asking Janusz to give us some key insights into life in the last 6 months, and also on PANSA's plans for the year ahead. So welcome, Janusz.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for the invitation and having an opportunity to talk about a little bit about the past, about the present, and about the future. Thank you.
Great. So to begin with, can you tell me, how has your organization approached the last 6 months of operations, and how has that changed from pre-pandemic?
Okay, thank you for that question. Of course, the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, is one of the worst in the aviation history. We haven't had until now that kind of crisis, which is COVID-19, because we had the crisis like the oil crisis or the crisis with the volcano ash, and for example with the war cases in many parts of the world. But we have never had such a situation like we are having now. So the COVID-19, it changed totally the working methods or the procedures which we had before. So we have to redesign totally in PANSA, and I presume in every NSP, the way of working. So we had to adjust everything to the needs of the pandemic. So to create such procedures to mitigate or to minimize the possibility of infection of the COVID-19. Of course, on the other hand, this is the worst scenario which we ever had with the traffic volume, because the drop of the traffic is at the level of approximately 60 up to 70%. So this is the situation which we never had. On the third way, we had to adjust the level of the services, because we have to keep the minimum level of service. We have to work 24 hours, 7 days a week, and 5 days in the year. So we had to keep proper level of the services, but from the other hand, there is almost no traffic, or the lowest level of the traffic which we ever had. So it was a very difficult situation, but we prepared very quickly. We changed our approach to the procedures. We changed the procedures. We put a lot of attention to the new technology to have the meetings in the virtual space. So this changed totally our approach, and we had to adjust very quickly. But from my perspective, this is natural way of the evolution of every company, and in some extent, COVID has the pluses, if I may say, in that way, because I would say it moves us to the future in some way.
I mean, that's an interesting point to end on, and I was going to ask you, what do you think the key lessons that the industry has learned so far, both in terms of the successes and maybe also the failures?
If I may just answer in such way, I'm treating the pandemic like the time vehicle, because in one hand, it moved us back to the future, to the past, because we are at the level of the traffic is like was in 2005 and 2006. So in one hand, we just moved back to the past. From the other hand, as a time vehicle, we moved to the future, because we are now more business oriented. We have to be more business oriented, and we are putting a lot of attention to the new technologies. I believe, and this is one of the strategic goal now in PANSA, but probably in whole Europe, that we have to put a lot of attention to the investments, especially investments in the new technology, which is strictly connected to the digitalization, to the virtualization digitalization and robotization of our daily work. And this is the kind of opportunity which gives the new picture of the ATM industry, of the whole aviation industry in Europe and in the world. And this is what we are trying to do. We have just signed in Poland the contract with our supplier Indra to create the new version of the ATM system. Secondly, the aviation sector is changing because the business doesn't like the empty spaces, and there is a lot of things which will be now done by the unmanned traffic, so by the drones, and this is the part of the aviation industry which we have to invest a lot as whole, as a Europe, as a whole aviation industry in the world. So I truly believe that this is the thing which we have to do now.
Thanks. And one of the things we talk a lot about these days is resilience. How should the aviation industry, the suppliers, the stakeholders, how should we all work together to build resilience?
I was always saying that the most important in the aviation, in the ATM industry, is the cooperation between the NSPs, between the airlines, and of course our suppliers. Only the full cooperation and the mutual trust between all stakeholders in the aviation chain will give us the opportunity to have a resilient, scalable system. Because without full cooperation, without the processes which are normal for our suppliers, for the companies, for the industry, which is creating the technological solution, we would not receive that. And this is very important now, because COVID has changed our attitudes, has changed our approach, has changed our behaviors. So we need to have a full cooperation. And I will give you the one or two examples of that. One is at the network level, at the European level, the cooperation between network manager, airlines, airports, and the NSPs to create the strategic and operational plan for the next coming 6 months. This is the one of the best examples which gives the new picture how we should cooperate each other. On the second hand, the second example is, for example, how we cooperate as a PANSA with our supplier Indra. This is moving us, as I said, as the example of the time vehicle, to the future, because we will be now creating the system which firstly will be the response for the requirements of the airspace architecture study. So the totally new picture of the European network for the European sky. And secondly, will be giving the opportunity to fly freely between the countries, between point A to B in whole Europe. So I would say that, or summarizing that answer, that the cooperation, mutual trust is most important in those difficult times.
Thanks. And so if we look now to the future, in your view, what are the biggest risks and the biggest opportunities for the industry in the coming years?
From my perspective, as the CEO of PANSA, I believe that the most, I would say, threatening thing for me is the behavior of the customers, because now we cannot predict how the passengers will behave, if they're gonna back to on boards of the planes, if the people want to fly between the countries. We see that our daily work is changing, because even now we are meeting on the webinar. Probably 6 months ago or 1 year ago, we could meet in some place in Brussels and to have that interview. Now we are talking via internet. Well, now we are using the virtual solutions to meet each other. So the business will change, but what is very important, the business meetings will change. But what is for me very important and is threatening me, the behavior of the passengers. This is the one of the crucial things which we have to work on. So we have to work on the trust. Secondly, what is the most optimistic is that I would say journey to the virtual digital sky. This and creating the solution now, because COVID will speed up our works and is bringing the area, the mood for the deployment of the new technologies. And I do believe that we as the NSPs, airports and the airlines will work together to create the new solutions which will help for the future, because in some day traffic will come back to the situation which we had in 2019. I presume that it will take more or less probably 2 up to 4 years, but the traffic will be growing once again in the near future.
Great. And then a final question. We're going to play the 3-word game. What 3 words would you use to describe the ATM community today? And if you feel like it, you can tell us why.
Thank you. I would say very optimistic question. Of course, I would answer in such way. The 3 topics, the 3 words which are the most important from my perspective, and I do believe from the business perspective of the ATM and the aviation, is digitalization, virtualization, and remotization, because our behavior is changing. We are changing, so we need to have the new tools, and this is the answer: the systems which will give the resilient system, scalable system, and will give us opportunity to change totally our working methods. So the most 3 important words are once again: digitalization, virtualization of our work, and remotization. I believe that drones and the systems which we are creating now and deploying now operationally in Poland, for example, we are giving the chance to deploy that kind of systems which will be fully virtualized and trajectory-based systems.
Excellent. Well, Janusz, that's all from me, and I'd like to say thank you. Despite everything, you're showing remarkable optimism, and I'm sure it'll be very much appreciated by the ATM community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation, and I hope and I do believe that in the very soon future we will be in the new world. Thank you.